I've had the scar since I was 6 years old. My mother said I fell on a piece of fence wire. My father said he didn't remember. The medics at my induction physical noted it as a prior injury, a pale, branching line that runs from the inside of my left wrist to the crook of my elbow, like a river delta pressed into the skin. I stopped noticing it somewhere around my second deployment. By my fourth, it was just part of the arm. Nobody in the Interstellar Diplomatic Security Corps ever mentioned it. Nobody had reason to. That changed the morning I was assigned to the Sovalan delegation. My orders were routine. Stand post at the inner chamber door during the ratification proceedings. Do not speak unless addressed. Do not move unless the consul directs it. The Sovalan Queen, Her Radiance Sovaleth, third of her name, sovereign of the Cathar, was signing a mutual protection compact with the human, Federated Assembly, 17 clauses, 8 hours of ceremony. My job was to hold still and look dependable. I had done it 100 times. Positioned myself to the left of the main entry at 0600, adjusted my collar, and waited. The Queen entered at 0612. I had seen images in the security briefing. I thought I was prepared. I was not. She was tall, nearly 2 meters, with the deep violet-gray skin of the Keth high caste, and hair so black it held a bluish sheen under the chamber's morning light, threaded at the temples with silver that wasn't age but rank, braided into a crown that needed no ornament above it. Her eyes were a pale, flat gold, the color of old bone, and they moved across a room the way a tide moves. Slowly, completely, leaving nothing unread. She crossed the chamber floor in ceremonial robes of deep indigo and silver, her advisors flanking her in matching livery, and she did not look at me. Queens don't look at door guards. That is the natural order. She reached the signing table. The consul began the formal address. Watched the room the way I was trained to. Entrance vectors, sight lines, the positions of the 12 other guards, and I settled into the long, hollow patience of the post. At 638, the Queen turned her head, not toward the consul, not toward the assembly representatives, toward me, kept my eyes forward. She was probably looking at the door. At 0641, she turned again. This time I felt it, the specific, weighted quality of being studied. It is different from being glanced at. I had felt it in interrogation rooms and across enemy lines, and once, in a hospital ward, from a surgeon who had just read a scan result he did not expect. It is the attention of someone who has found something they were not looking for, and is now deciding what to do about it. I did not move. At 0649, one of her advisors crossed the chamber and stopped in front of me. He was a lean, older Keth male with the same violet-gray complexion, and he spoke in accented standard. Her Radiance requests you step forward. I'm on post, I said. She is aware of that. He waited. The consul gave me a slight nod from across the room. I stepped forward. The Queen was standing at the table, the unsigned compact in front of her, the Assembly's lead negotiator watching with an expression that was trying very hard to be neutral. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, in standard that was precise and unhurried, "Your left arm." I did not understand the request. "Your sleeve," she said. "Roll it, please." I looked at the consul, another nod. I set down protocol, undid my cuff, and rolled the fabric to the elbow. The scar lay on my skin the way it always had, pale, branching, quiet. I had never thought of it as anything. A fence wire, a childhood, a thing you stop seeing. The Queen's gold eyes settled on it. She did not speak for his 11 seconds. I counted them. Then she reached into the inner fold of her ceremonial robe and withdrew something small. A disc of dark metal, about the diameter of a coin, with an engraved pattern on its face. She held it 6 centimeters from my forearm without touching the skin. The disc glowed. Not metaphorically. The metal, whatever it was, produced a pale amber light from the engraving, and the pattern that emerged matched the shape on my arm with an exactness that made the room very quiet. Not just the negotiators, all of it. Every person in that chamber stopped. "I've been carrying this for 9 years," she said. Her voice had not changed in tone. Something under it had. Something compressed and careful. The way a person sounds when they have prepared for a moment so long that the arrival of it has become almost unreal. Since my consort left on the Keth survey mission and did not return, the ship was destroyed at the Virgil boundary. We recovered no bodies. The Assembly issued a death declaration in the 3rd year. She paused. I did not accept it. I looked at the disc. I looked at my arm. I'm not, I stopped. Your radiance. I was born on Heron Station. My parents were human. I don't know what this is. I know what it is, she said. She lowered the disc. Up close, her eyes were not as flat as they had seemed from across the room. There was a depth in them, something very old and very contained, the way glacial ice looks shallow until you look longer. The mark is called a Keth tail. It is a sovereignty bond, a compact inscribed biologically on the body of one who has sworn a binding vow to the Keth throne. It cannot be replicated, cannot be surgically produced, cannot be inherited. It can only form on a living body that has made the oath. She looked at my arm again. It forms over years. It is completed only when the vow is fulfilled or the one who made it. She stopped. D's. Yes. I pulled my sleeve down. My hands were steady, which surprised me. I don't remember making any vow. No, she said. You wouldn't. She set the disc on the table beside the unsigned compact. The Virgo boundary event involved a significant energy discharge. Our physicians documented cases of total biographical amnesia in survivors. We found 3 in the years after, in different systems. None carried the tail. She looked at me. My consort carried it. He made the oath at our bonding ceremony. I watched him. The assembly's negotiator cleared his throat very softly. Nobody looked at him. I thought about the scar. 6 years old. A fence wire. My mother's explanation, delivered without eye contact, in the flat voice she used when she was not telling the full truth. My father's version, I don't remember. I thought about how a child found somewhere near the Virgo boundary, with no record and no name and a branching mark on his arm, might have been given a story that was easier than the real one. How a family that wanted a son might have asked no questions they didn't want, answered. I am not a man who unravels. I have been in conditions that required the opposite. But I stood in that chamber, in my dress uniform, queen of the Ketharch watching me from 2 meters away. And I felt something shift in the architecture of everything I had believed about myself slowly and with a weight that was not grief exactly but was not nothing. I need to verify this, I said. Yes, she said.
Anticipated that.
She reached into the same fold of her robe and produced a second item, a slender data chip in a Keth-sealed case. Our medical archive. A full biological record of my consort's tail progression from the oath ceremony through the last scan taken before the Virgo mission. Your medics will find a match. She held it out to me. I have been carrying this for 9 years as well. I took it. Our fingers did not touch. She had been precise about that, careful in a way that told me she understood what this moment was, and what it was not yet. If the match confirms, I said. When, she said. Quiet, not correcting me, just certain. I looked down at the chip in my hand. 9 years, a queen who had not accepted a death declaration, who had carried a disc and a medical archive through 9 years of a governance and grief and official sympathy, waiting for a match that her own court had probably long since stopped believing in. I raised my eyes. I don't know who I was, I said. Before. No, she agreed, but you made a vow. Her gold eyes held mine. That you kept. I didn't have an answer for that. I'm not sure one existed. What I did was straighten my spine, hold her gaze, and say the only honest thing I could find. Then we verify it, and we begin from there. Something in her face, not a smile, not yet, something quieter and older than a smile, moved. Yes, she said, we begin from there. The compact sat unsigned on the table. The assembly representatives had gone very still. The consul was pretending to examine a document. The queen picked up the disc again and looked at the mark on my covered arm as though she could still see it through the fabric. I think, in some way she did not need to explain to me. She had always been able to.